Hello, so today we're going to be going over a Cassiopeia game. So Cassiopeia is really strong in certain setups. I think there's like a 2 Tanky board that is very strong with her, a 6 Shapeshifter board that is very strong with her. She's actually in like an okay spot, I would say. I wouldn't recommend always going for Cassiopeia reroll, but it is something that you can very easily convert to a top 4 so long as you have a good spot for it. Now in this game, I'm going to take Caretakers, which is probably how I get into a good Cassiopeia spot. And it's going to look really strong for most of the part. And that's what I mean by sometimes it looks very strong, sometimes it's very middling. So please make sure that you have a good spot for it. And that's what I'll try and emphasize through this video. But it is a line or one of the more niche variations of boards that you can try out and play. And see how good it is for yourself in your own lobbies and your own games. Of course, like I usually say, if you enjoy my content, make sure to like and subscribe, as it does help me as a small creator to see number go up, especially in terms of motivation, as well as getting some exposure with my YouTube videos. Anyways, so early game, I'm just going to try and hold on to unit pairs. I don't know if I'm going to be playing Ziggs based on my items, but I'm probably going to hold on to a Ziggs pair over this Warwick. I put in dragons, maybe it gives me the dragon augment, you know, that one that's like Draconic Mastery, because that's just fucking broken, I hate it. But you know, that might appear in the game, so I'm going to tailor dragons here, maybe a little bit better than tailoring towards enchanters. And ideally, now I might want to hold, like, I want to hold Jace and the Ziggs pair, but I just hold the Ziggs pair for now. We find Jace again, so we just want to shapeshifter in. We want to build up our board a little bit. I start the game off with a Gwynsu, so, you know, knowing with the hindsight that's going to be a Cassiopeia game, you'll see that's already like a good spot for Cassiopeia, which is very nice. But anyways, we're going to see what we get on our first augment. I'm pretty sure this is just a Caretakers game, but I'll mention it and we'll see it when we get there. And then I'll also show you relatively what the board looks like. And some stats about it as well. Range-bound opener is really good because you have a lot of flexibility with it, right? You can play towards Rise, you can play towards Callista, you can play towards some of the rerolls that really like it, like Jinx, for example. Anyways, I have Caretaker's Ally. I think Caretaker is in one of those spots where you almost always take it. You're either going to get a 3-star frontline unit or you're going to get one of the others. I see Cassiopeia, and it's just an instant slam Gwynsu. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm just Cassiopeia, I guess. But anyways, the way that you usually play Cassiopeia is something along the lines of this. So I'm going to show you real fast. Let me just pull up the board. But basically what you're usually doing is you're going Cassiopeia. You have an early Syndra as well very often, and then you will have all the shapeshifters. Of course, eventually you're dropping Elise. Eventually you're dropping Jace for Briar, but I'll just put Briar in for now. But basically, what all you do is you just play 6 Shapeshifter in the front line. They become this impenetrable wall that is very hard to deal with. And then your back line is some rendition of Cassiopeia and Syndra. Now, depending on the board, this board doesn't cap very high. It's very difficult because what this board relies on is it relies on your front line living long enough for your Cassiopeia to scale up. A lot of times you will be rolling on level 6 and you're trying to go for Swain 3, Nico 3, Cassio 3, and Syndra 3. In terms of itemizations, you're usually going Gwynsu on Cassiopeia. I've seen double Gwynsu into Gunblade as being like a common build. I think that if your board is strong enough, a lot of times you can put an Archangels on Cassiopeia just because the scaling that it gives with the auto attacks actually works very well based on Cassiopeia's ability, right? If you have an Archangels, then over time she's going to do way more magic damage on her autos, which will work out to be like significantly more damage than if you ramp up just a Gwynsu, right? You want to balance it a little bit, but I wouldn't recommend Archangels in all the cases. And then Syndra, I think Syndra you can still build like the old style of Syndra where you just build a lot of attack speed for her to scale up. But often you'll just put like a red buff on her, something like this where she has a lot of attack speed but she still works as a caster. And then often you're making Nico your main tank, because Nico I find is a little bit more reliable than playing around Swain, and whatever items you have left over, because you have to prioritize so many items on Cassiopeia and Syndra, it gets a little bit difficult. Now in terms of options that you have, you can also drop the Syndra for a Karma. If you do not have that many Syndras and you have a free Cassiopeia, then you can level and just play Karma, and Karma items work as normal Karma board, which is just like blue buff, red buff, +1, or blue buff, Morello, +1. and they work out really well. The way Cassiopeia works is that she wants to auto attack, so she's definitely a Guinsoo holder. Cassiopeia is a little bit weird. It's really hard to fit in something like 4 Invoker. But Cassiopeia does cap okay, right? The problem with Cassiopeia is that you need her to get to like a point of stabilization. As you can see, if you have Cassio 3, it averages like around a 4. The best item is a Guinsoo. I'm pretty sure one of her best items is a Guinsoo or a Shiv or something like that. And then after that, there's like lots of different things. You'll see that there's this Honeymancy build, by the way. The Honeymancy build looks a bit weird. It's basically, this is a line that I haven't tried out yet, so I cannot necessarily recommend it 100%. But it looks something like this, and then you have Cassiopeia. So when you're rerolling for all of your Honeymancy units, you basically play Witchcraft with the Honeymancy, and then you can play Vigor for later, but basically you have Incanter with the Ziggs, and then you have the Nunu with the Bastion with the Poppy, and you get Witchcraft in, and then you can fit in some other units such as Vanguard and Vertical Bastion or Vanguard in order to fit in like Arcana and other stuff. But Ziggs Cassiopeia reroll is a thing that is very strong. It's also really good with Ornn artifacts because Cassiopeia works really nicely if you there's an Ornn artifact that gives you a Zhonya's and a Manazane, and that works out really well with this comp because you put Zhonya's on Cassiopeia so she continues to scale and she doesn't randomly die, and then Manazane is very, very strong on Ziggs. So if you look at the stats, that's why you'll see stuff like Zhonya's is really good on her and Honeymancy is really good on her. It's specific to those type of builds. I don't have the exclusion to remove Honeymancy, but that is another build that you could play. It's not the build I'm going in this game because I'm playing Cassio reroll in not outside of Honeymancy. That's more of like a Honeymancy reroll, and you shove in the Cassiopeia to get some extra damage with Incanter while you roll. But a lot of the times, if you're building primary Cassiopeia, it's usually Guinsoo Gunblade. It's a little bit skewed now because obviously like this build is going to be way inferior to the Honeymancy build, but that's carried because Honeymancy is so strong. And then you'll see Wit's End is really good on her. That's because it's an auto attacking item. Basically attacks deal bonus magic damage. So if you have a unit like Cassiopeia that wants to auto attack a bunch, it's going to give her a bunch more damage. And then you can see as the last item, there's a lot of different options. Archangels, pretty much everything. Gunblade says that it's plus delta, so I don't know if it's Guinsoo Gunblade all the time. It's hard to build this unit because you have to balance attack speed as well as damage. The main issue that Cassiopeia has is your board dying too fast. That's why you want to play Vertical Shapeshift. You want to play some vertical frontline trait so that they live long enough for the Guinsoos to actually stack on the Cassiopeia. If the Guinsoos don't actually stack on Cassiopeia, you're going to run yourself into a really big problem because basically she's just going to die before she actually starts doing significant amounts of damage. But anyways, we'll just go back to the game. The game's pretty high roll. I'm level 5. I already have Cassio 2. I actually found a Cassio along the way. I started with a Guinsoo. I'm not necessarily winning every single fight, but I am very stable. And we're basically just going to see what ends up happening this game. If I right now, because I have so many Cassiopeias and don't have many Syndras, there is a good chance that I will just play Cassiopeia with Karma instead of playing Cassiopeia with Syndra. Syndra is good if you get Syndra early. A lot of times, when you're playing this comp, it's better to itemize Syndra before Cassiopeia because Syndra scales. She gets the extra bonus attacks as well as she gets the extra rifts that will then do shred for your team. So a lot of the times you might prefer to play towards Syndra instead. Syndra won't really carry you much into late game. I think Cassiopeia together with Syndra will do enough damage. But you get remover every single round, right? They made the patch of TFT now that every time on neutrals, if you do not have a magnetic remover, you will get a new one. So you can craft Guinsoo and general AP items, and then you can put those on a Syndra. And then once you play, if you end up hitting Cassiopeia 3 first, you just remove the Guinsoo from the Syndra using one of your removers, and you put it on the Cassiopeia. I got dropped a bunch of 2 costs, so I got dropped a Shyvana 2, as you can see, and I got dropped 2 Cassiopeias. Which is insane, because that means that with 2 Cassiopeias, I only need to natural 1 more Cassiopeia, and then I will get Cassiopeia 3 on level 8. So the chances are, in this game, I am going to play towards Karma. I'm going to tempo this Cassiopeia, I'm going to go straight to level 8, and I will then roll on level 8. The reason is, with Caretakers, you get 1 Cassiopeia per level up. So there's no need for me to stay rolling on level 6 to find a Syndra, because first of all, I didn't start the game with a Syndra, so my Syndra isn't scaling. And second of all, because I'm going to have Cassiopeia for free if I go to level 8, I might as well just now sit around, and then just push levels, go straight to level 8. I'll have Cassiopeia 3, and then I can use my gold to roll down on level 8 and then play around Karma. That's what I was saying at the beginning of this video. I'm probably going to call this a Cassiopeia reroll game because that's what you have to call it, because it's Cassiopeia 3. I can't just say Cassiopeia 3 regular game, right? But it's not really reroll. It's with caretakers. So my spot is going to be better than some of the spots you would have if you had to spend gold rolling on a low level. The compromise is that if you get caretakers and you natural a bunch of Cassiopeias, yes, you're rerolling, and yes, you have Cassiopeia 3, you get the benefit of playing higher cost units like a Nasus and a Karma, but you do not get the 3-star Nico, the 3-star Syndra, the 3-star Swain that can make your board very strong. So they're both different ways of playing it, but what I always suggest is if you hit a lot of copies of one particular unit, don't just stay a low level rolling for other units. It's often not correct. It's often better to just level and make a very strong board. Here, I think one of the best silver augments is mentorship. Item collector is also pretty good, but it got a little bit nerfed over patches, so I think mentorship is pretty good because I can get a lot of value off of it, because there's every shapeshifter is a different cost, so I can get my whole front line to have additional shielding, which is really nice. I also found a Karma. I don't even know how I found a Karma. Did I find it this turn? How did I find a Karma? That's crazy. I found it this turn, I think. Yeah, this game's just really high roll, I guess. I didn't know it was this high roll when I was gonna look it up. I had it flagged to check it out, but I guess I wanted to check it out because it was so high roll. So look, I'm level 6. I'm just going to roll a little bit here, because I'm basically looking for one copy of Cassiopeia. Right, as you can see, I have 6 Cassiopeias. I find a Karma. So I literally just, okay, I guess we're just playing Karma now. I found more Cassiopeias and Karmas than I have Syndras right now, so we're obviously not going to roll for Syndra. I roll one more time for Charm to make sure that I am strong for this upcoming fight. I get a bunch of training dummies. That's perfect. And we're just going to try and tempo this as much as possible. So, like I said before, I'm going to slow roll on 6 a little bit. I'm basically looking on level 6 for one copy of Cassiopeia to secure my placement up until later in the game. I'm also Swain paired, by the way. So being Swain paired, I can then upgrade the Swain. So it makes sense for me to roll here just to be very strong. I'm fighting against Ashe 3. This Ashe fucking multi-striker thing pisses me off. It's fucking annoying. He also hit keepers. So, you know, we're going to lose to the Ashe 3. That's fine. That's just how it is. And we find our next copy of Cassiopeia. Now I am done rolling. So, like I said before, if you have a point like this where you have so many copies of one unit and not enough copies of the other, it's often correct to just level and play around better cost units. Right, I'm not going to stay on level 6 or stay on level 7 rolling for Nico 3, Swain 3, Syndra 3, all of that shit. I will instead just use this, go to level 8. I'll have a free Cassiopeia 3 because I'm going to get 2 Cassiopeias each time I'm going to get 1 Cassiopeia each time I level up. I'm going to level up 2 times before I go to level 8. So level 8, I'm going to have Cassiopeia 3. And then I will have the option to play around Nasus as my main tank, instead of wasting a lot of gold rolling and trying to find a Nico 3 and a Swain 3 and all of that. Now, in a more traditional sense, often around here you would have a Syndra 2, Nico 2, Swain 2. That's what your board would typically look like if you're playing reroll Cassiopeia, and you would just stay on this level and keep rolling until you hit all of them. Another thing to note is that Cassiopeia is really, really strong with 2 Tanky. So I will show you in a second. Let me just go to the stats again. So another variation that you can play is a 2 Tanky variation. So here 2 Tanky, you'll see that it averages a 3.84. What your board looks like when it's 2 Tanky is Nico, Swain, Syndra, Cassio. This is like your level 6 board. Basically, you use 2 Tanky to establish this impenetrable front line where you have double Nico, double Swain, and you go for 3-star everybody. I don't know if when you level up you play double Cassiopeia, double Syndra. I think only if you have items for them you do that, but you basically just play this, and then you just play like vertical, you play some rendition of vertical shapeshifter after that to juice up your front line even more. And like I said, Cassiopeia just wants your front line to never die, right? That's the way you should always think about it. So if you're not playing Swain 3, Nico 3, that they're unkillable, like they're very, very hard to chew through, then you need to be playing 6 Shapeshifter or some vertical frontline trait, because Cassiopeia needs this Guinsu to ramp up. That's why she falls off very hard late game a lot of the times, and that's why a lot of times you'll lose fights later. It's because the Guinsu needs to stack up to a point where Cassiopeia is just melting the whole board. If Cassiopeia is not melting the whole board, the Guinsoo did not stack up stack up enough times. You didn't have long enough for Cassiopeia to stack up, and then that often equates to you losing the round or even losing the game. So things like 2 Tanky works really well, because if you put in 2 Tanky with Cassiopeia, these units are going to be basically unkillable. You're rolling for Nico 3, Swain 3, always with that type of comp, and you have an impenetrable front line. If you don't have something like 2 Tanky, you want to try and make it to a point where you get to 6 Shapeshifter, just so that your front line is very hard to chew through. 6 Shapeshifter, it doesn't matter what the comp is, it's very hard to chew through. I'm sure you've noticed it in your lobbies. 6 Shapeshifter with a Nasus 2 and a bunch of other Shapeshifters, it's just really, it takes a long time, and that gives Cassiopeia enough time to ramp up, and that's really what you're trying to go for with this type of comp. Oh, I didn't show it. I high rolled as fuck this game. I remember this part. So, like, I think I was just, like, sitting around. Where is it? Check this out. Look at my shop. Ready? Watch this. So I go on carousel and I just take an item to try and make an item, right? I take belt because belt is good for like everything. And my shop has 2 Cassiopeias. Isn't that funny? Like, where's this high roll when I need it? Like, I fucking lost the game to bug that I'm taking a break from TFT. Now I have 2 karmas, Cassiopeia 3 level 6. Like, look at this game. And also, I don't think I'm going first this game, by the way, because this Cassiopeia is going to fall off. But this is one of the most high roll Cassiopeia games. This is why I say play it with caution. Only play it if your spot is really good for it, because look at how much I'm high rolling this game. This is not a first. I want you to know that. Anyway, I just push a level here to level 7, because now I have Cassiopeia 3. I think I can win every fight. So I want to push a level. I get in Witchcraft for free because the Poppy just goes in for my extra +1 unit, and I'm just hoping to streak now. I want to streak as many rounds as possible so I can try and convert this to play for a win. And when you have a high roll spot, you really want to play for a win, right? 4th isn't good enough this game, right? Going 4th is pretty much guaranteed, right? It's gonna be really hard for somebody to outcap me. But like outcap me like in terms of like both HP and strength going into late game. But you want to try and play in a way that condones you winning as much LP as possible when you have a spot like this that's really good. So what I want to do is I want to level here, make sure I have a lot of HP. It's only going to cost me around 2 gold of interest, right? Obviously I broke interest, but I was still making 30 gold. If I wasn't making 30 gold, I would worry about it, because now I'm making 40 gold. I'm still going to make 50 gold on neutral, so I'll be level 750 gold anyways. There's no point in greeding too much, because these rounds winning them could matter a lot. Anyways, here I'm fighting a blaster board, which is very strong in today's meta. I made a video about it a long time ago, and I got a bunch of fucking harassment for it, so I'm refusing to make one these days because I don't need to deal with it anymore. So if you want to see how to play this comp, I already made a video about it back when it wasn't as good as it is now, back when Ezreal wasn't buffed and all of that. Anyways, we barely lost this fight. All of it, I'm also joking, by the way. I'll eventually make a blaster video. I'm just not playing, so I don't have a VOD ready for it, but eventually when I get back to playing TFT on stream, I will then try and get a blaster game in. It's just very commonly played, so it's very hard because you're usually contested. But like I said, I'm level 750 gold now. I have 2 karmas, so I can itemize karma as my secondary carry, and I have 4 shapeshifter with an extra witchcraft unit. I will eventually aim to put in 6 shapeshifter. That is my goal, to make my front line as hard to kill as possible. It's a very low item game as well, so it's a little bit awkward here. Looking at my items, I could make Morello. Like, Morello's good, but then I don't really have a second item to make. I might just make Archangels. I remember I was talking about Archangels before, and I'll worry about Morello after. I might also just make Gargoyle red buff, or Gargoyle, Sunfire, and Archangels. I'm not a big fan of Archangels, by the way. I think Archangels is very often bait. It's very often not a good idea to make Archangels. In this particular case, I don't have another set of items. You can see I'm very much debating what to make here. It's just that I'm too far away from making a double Guinsoo on Cassiopeia, and I have a Cassiopeia 3. So yeah, I just make Warmogs, and I'm probably making Archangels, and then I'll just make Gargoyle. That pairs pretty nicely with Warmogs, and then I'll move those onto a, what's his name? I'll move those items onto a thing. Yeah, you see this fight? This fight was basically an Archangel's diff. The Archangels didn't really stack that much because I slammed it late, but I won this very narrowly, and that's why you have to slam items. Even if it's not the best item, like I'm not telling you that Archangels is the best item for Cassiopeia. What I'm saying is that if your front line is impenetrable enough, like if your front line is strong enough that people cannot chew through it fast enough, then the Archangels will stack with the Guinsoo and you get a lot of value off of it. That's the same with Archangels on most comps, right? The Portal comp, because you're either playing 4 Bastion or you're playing Portal that gives a bit of a health shield, it is usually very hard for units to get to the Rise. That's why Guinsoo Archangels works really well on Rise. It's the same concept. If your front line is very hard to get through, these items will then get value. And that's the main thing, that's the main takeaway that you have to have. So in this case, I have a Nasus. I'm thinking if I itemize the Shyvana or the Nasus. I have a Shyvana upgrade. She's my only upgraded frontline unit. I just put on the Nico because I kind of have faith in Nico here. I think that's a mistake though. I think I should have just itemized the Nasus if I'm itemizing one of the 1-stars. But it's fine. I have a remover. I can probably just remover that and put on the Nasus. I think that's just a moment of weakness. Nico sometimes is really, really strong, but it's a Nico 1. I think that's my mistake. But as you can see, my front line is very fucking strong. It is very hard to chew through. So I not only stacked the Guinsoo, I stacked the Archangels, and my auto attacks are absolutely monstrous. Obviously, I don't have good utility here. Using Tear and Rod is bad in the sense that I couldn't make Spark. I could have easily made Spark instead of Gargoyle, and then like with the Tear make some sort of other item like I don't know, Protector's Vow. The problem is I just want some damage. I think that if my front line with I have mentorship. My last augment is Unified Resistance as well. So Unified Resistance works really well because what do you need for a good tank? You need armor, you need magic resist, and you need HP. So what do shapeshifters have? A bunch of HP. What does Unified give? A bunch of armor and MR. So I have everything going for me. My front line is very, very fucking strong. So I'd much rather just do damage with the Cassiopeia. I'm not sure why I'm rolling so deep, by the way. I think I'm just like stressed because I'm streaming. Now I have Nasus too, so I'm just gonna itemize the Nasus and everything will be great. But as you can see here, like this is an example, right? My Archangels got to 120, right? My Guinsoo's at 29, my Archangel's at 120. We're very fucking strong, right? That's incredible for us, right? We're gonna try and tempo this. I don't know if we get first here. We might just get a second. There's a couple people that have really, really strong setups. A couple of the multi-striker players. There's also the fairy player that might just happen across 9 fairy. It's very possible. There's also a Varus player that if he gets to like smolder. There's a blaster player that if they get to smolder. There's a lot of boards. Basically, like I start to lose fights if my front line doesn't out tank their carries. That's why this board is very hard to go first with. It's very hard to win with. Because you have to basically constantly be stronger than everybody else. In terms of your front line at least. As soon as your front line starts to die, and as the game goes on, people's boards get stronger and stronger. So your front line gets relatively weaker and weaker. The fights don't last as long a lot of the time. There's very few times that like a stage 6, stage 7 board lasts forever. A lot of times the boards just die. I should move items to Nasus though. I don't know why I'm not moving items to Nasus. This is a mistake here. So right now my items are still on Nico. I need to move the items to Nasus. Nasus is way better of a tank than a Nico 2 right now. This is an example, right? If this guy hits Hwei 3, Ezreal 3, he has enough damage because his board is very burst focused. My board is very stall focused. There's a chance that his burst board might literally kill my front line before I can get to his. Like look at this, right? This is Hwei 1, Ezreal 2. I'm able to beat him, but he got through my front line, right? It's a 1v1 at the end, and I just narrowly won. If he had way more damage, like if he hits Ezreal 3, I probably lose to that board later. For sure, right? For sure. That's the thing. That's why a lot of these Guinsoo comps are often very weak. The only ones that really work out is something like Fairy, because Fairy, the Guinsoo stacks don't matter as much. You have so much fucking front line, because that stupid Fairy crown is so fucking strong. Sorry, the Fairy armor on the Rakan is so fucking strong. Also, what am I doing? What am I doing? Oh my god, I put fucking Thieves Gloves on Nasus? Bro, I'm fucking throwing. Just remove the fucking Nico items. Come on, past Fenrir, pick up the fucking slack. What are you doing? It's fine. I can use the remover. I have to remover this Thieves Gloves, and then I get another remover, and then I can remove the Nico items. Like, look at this guy's board. Right, he's level 8. He has Golem. Am I losing to this? I might lose to this fucking... Oh, man. He has Virtue of the Martyr as well. I lost to Gwen. Like, come on. I don't know how I lost to this board. Oh, I think this is why I flagged this game. I think this guy's board was interesting. I want to look at it. Because it wasn't something that I saw before. Okay, there we go. And now, I'm not making another gargoyle here, by the way. If you look on my bench, I have items that aren't slammed. The reason I didn't slam these items is because what if I make Spark? Right? There's a chance that I can make Spark, which is a lot higher value. So I'm greeting the last couple components to give myself some utility. Right? I can also make Sunfire with the Chainmail. So I need to make utility out of those items. And that's why I'm waiting to make my last items. So let's see what we hit here. This is... Okay, I just make Shiv. Yeah. Last time on Cassiopeia, Shiv is really good because Shiv works that every third attack you basically shred your enemies, so it reduces their magic resist. If you put on a Gwinsu user, you basically get that uptime a lot more. Now I just slam all my items because that's it. We're not getting any more items. We're not getting any more components. We're just gonna get items, so we just slam everything. And I probably want to go level 9 here. I can fit in Chrono, which is pretty good for this board. Chrono will recover maximum HP, so because I have a bunch of units with a huge amount of HP, Chrono with the Karma will then heal everybody up. It will also give AP to Karma, which actually works out really nicely, because I'm probably itemizing Karma now after this Cassiopeia. But yeah, my Cassiopeia is just chunking people. Look, her autos are like one-shotting. It's crazy how much damage. And Nasus is tanking, because Nasus has basically Giga Armor and Giga HP. Yeah, I think on stream I was talking about, like, Nico tanking a lot, compared to Nasus. I think I was talking about it relative to, like, Witchcraft, because back in the day, if you played this line, a lot of times you played it with 4 Witchcraft. And when you played 4 Witchcraft with Cassiopeia reroll and you played Nico, it was better to itemize Nico because the old 4 Witchcraft would make the Nico heal in the front line, and then she was basically like unkillable. She was like an actual monster. In this case, it's no longer like that, so you don't play around that board in that way anymore. This guy's also holding on to Hui's, even though there's another guy rerolling blasters. I don't understand this lobby at all, but it's fine. Like I said, we high rolled a lot with this comp, but as you can see, it's quite strong. If I had like Swain 3, Nico 3, it's also quite good. But that's what I mean by you should play it with caution. It's not broken. It's not like you win on the spot with it. It's more so like if you have a really good spot for it, it's a good option to play towards if you think that you can play towards it. So what I would suggest is obviously like if you have a spot like mine where it's caretakers, this is a very good way to play the comp. If you're starting the game and you don't start with a Gwinsu and you don't start with a Syndra and you don't start with a Cassiopeia, this is not a viable option. If you start the game with a bunch of Cassiopeias, a bunch of Syndras, and you have good items for both of them, you can play that variation. But you always have to be cautious of having Nikos and Swains, right? It's kind of like if all the stars align and you have a lot of the units and the comps to play this, then you can play it. It's more of a traditional reroll, right? This is a reroll comp and or level 8 comp that is very much based on the fact that you need to have a lot of copies of the units ahead of time. So if your spot isn't good for it, it's not something you can hard force. It's not something you can wake up in the morning and say, today is a Cassiopeia game. It's like if the game gives you some Cassiopeias, or you polymorph into a Cassiopeia, or you start the game with a lot of Gwinsus and you have some Syndras, then you can play towards this line. If those aren't the cases, then you kind of have to pivot. You have to think of something else. This guy didn't hit Hui 3, so he didn't have enough damage to chew through me. If he had hit a Hui 3, it would have been a very close fight towards the end. This other guy's just been streaking the whole game. The only time I fought him was a couple turns ago that I lost him. That was the round that I lost to the Gwen. So he basically has been beating everybody. He's 91 HP, level 9. It's going to be very hard to outcap him, right? As much as I high rolled, I don't know what that guy hit, what he drank in the morning. Like, he's fucking insane. So he takes Briar because Briar is obviously... Oh no, I need Morello! Oh, fuck. I took a fucking gargoyle. I threw... I was trying to get the Briar because Briar is like a huge spike for me because I can switch out this this Jace for Briar. Oh, that's so bad. Morello would have been so good because I don't have anti-heal right now. But I think I think when I was playing the game, I didn't see the Morello because I was so focused on trying to get the other guy. So anyways, this guy, he's basically rich as fuck, level 9. Has what's it called? The guy that with 91 HP, he has Virtue of the Martyr, a bunch of frontline units, Briar with Nasus too, so he has a really good frontline with Virtue of the Martyr, so they heal a bunch of HP. The Gwen kind of doesn't do that much, but the Gwen is just hard for me to kill specifically because I'm trying to like target and she de-aggroes and jumps around a lot. Ooh, this is scary. Oh, we just barely won, thank God. That was a close fight. So this guy's board is just really fucking strong. He has Fishbones with Varus. He's been farming for Xerath charms forever. He has 3 Arcana in because he has the Xerath. Right, level 9. Been buying charms this whole time. Right, he literally has a free Fishbones. Right, look at his Varus. His Varus has a free best in slot or an artifact. Maybe not best in slot, but he has a free, really strong Ornn artifact. His board is very high cap. He has multiple 5 costs on his board. And he's multiple Pyro. So he's been stacking Pyro the whole game because he has basically been winning every single round. Right? He's 91 HP. So this board is going to be very hard to outcap. Especially with Virtue of the Martyr. It doesn't look that strong, but they made it so that Pyro scales a little bit better. And he has Fishbones with Varus. So for me at least, it's like maybe I can beat him once or twice. But the problem is I have to beat him consistently. And he already has Briar and I don't. And he has like an extra Ornn artifact plus other charms. It's just way too much. So this fight I might win here. Just because it's clone. But I don't think I win. Oh, I don't even beat his clone. And his support dummy is so good with Virtue of the Martyr. So I think it's just going to end up being a second to that guy. Obviously, I think if I had Briar too. The other problem is I didn't get anti-heal. Right? That was a huge mistake on Carousel. I don't think it would make a difference against that guy. Yes, anti-heal would help. But I think he's too far ahead that even with anti-heal I still lose to him. So as much as a high roll as we're still just going to get second. This comp usually, that's as much as you usually want to aim for. Second is great, right? I wasn't expecting to get a second with Cassiopeia reroll, but I did, and that's why I'm showing it to you guys. Which is great. Yeah, but not taking anti-heal there was a throw. I needed to take anti-heal. Like, what if I don't get anti-heal now? Like, what does the stone plate do? Nothing. Oh, I hit the Morello. But I could have been up a whole item. Right? That was my own. I tossed. I kind of tossed the other round. That's fine. And I'm just playing Chrono because Chrono gives healing after the countdown. So that's really good for me. But yeah, that guy's Varus does so much damage that I can't ramp up my Cassiopeia fast enough to then be one-shotting all of the other units. So it's very difficult in that final fight. But we'll watch it. We'll see. I think he's probably gonna hit Briar 2 before me just because of how much gold he's rolling on level 9. And the Xerath 2 as well makes it very annoying because my Cassiopeia and my Karma take so much damage from the backline. Just because he has so much backline access with the Xerath and the Fishbones Varus and everything else. But yeah, look, this is like a more normal board. Our Cassiopeia stacks up enough. It's just an easy win. And now I have to beat this guy like 4 or 5 times. Very unlikely. We'll see what could happen. I'm trying to split up my Cassiopeia and my Karma because I'm trying to make it so that they don't get both stunned or both get jumped by the Briar or both get hit by the Fishbones Varus. So I'm trying to split it up a little bit to see if I can help. I'm hoping that I'm putting it out on stream when I was talking about it. I'm trying to put Karma on the right hand side because I'm hoping that my Karma can maybe snipe the what's it called? The Xerath. But yeah, he has Warrior in, really good Gwen items. Gwen scales her damage with stalling, so she's basically like a stall killer. And he has Virtue of the Martyr. So his team almost outstalls mine, outscales mine, right? He has Fishbones, Gwinsu's Varus, and then he has blue buff Gwen, right? Both of them as the fight goes on, they'll gain more ability to do damage. So it's just kind of chalked, I think. I'm trying to find a better value that I can do for mentorship. I realize that like maybe it's better just to same side both of them. I'm trying out different things. I don't think I can chew through this Briar 2. I'm going to be real with everybody here. I think that he has way too much damage, right? He's Arcana. He's been buying charms probably the entire last couple rounds. He does a bunch of true damage. So I'm literally just getting absolutely deleted by everything. I put Cassiopeia in the middle because I'm trying to blast down this Briar. His Briar is also rolling the best TG items I've ever seen. Like, where's Briar rolling like a fucking Archangels or some bullshit? He's trying to go for Gwen 3, so I'm making sure that I can see if there's a Gwen. So I delete my whole thing, right? I have 50 gold, 60 gold on level 9, and he's holding a bunch of Gwens, right? What I'm going to do next round is it's pretty much the last round of the game. So what we're going to try and do is we are going to try to roll for Karma 3 here, right? If you're playing to win the game, the best thing you can do to win the game is to roll it down to try and hit a thing. So I found a Karma on Carousel. I just take it instantly. It's a Blaster emblem. I'm not trying to grief him of his Blaster, by the way. I know Blaster is good for Varus, obviously. I'm taking Karma, and we're going to roll here for Karma 3. Let's watch this roll down. Let's see if I miss any Karmas. I'm holding on to some Gwens because he was also going for Gwen 3. So I just use all my gold to roll it down because I've been saving it up for this moment. And I'm trying to scam the game, obviously. I'm just trying to scam. As you can see, we didn't really hit anything. Yeah, and now it's too late. We have, what's it called? We have, 1, 2, 3. We need 2 more Karmas. Yeah, it's just chalked. But anyway, it was a good effort. I had a couple Karmas. He's holding a bunch of 4 costs. We try our best to roll it down. If we hit Karma 3, we win the game for free. That's just a scam. That's a good old fashioned scam. Use the remover. Put the items on the what's it called? The Cassiopeia. Move them onto the Karma. But that's it, right? This guy just has too much damage, right? Look at this Gwen. Virtue of the Martyr. I can't even kill the fucking target dummy because it comes down to whether or not my Cassiopeia targets the target dummy, right? I don't have good AoE. I remove the items on the Cassiopeia because I'm gonna sell some of my board now. I'm gonna try and sell some units to see if I can hit this Karma. I was also trying to delay buying the charm. Yeah, Cassiopeia doesn't do that much, right? Because we're not gonna win the fight anyways. I sell it, roll a bunch, don't hit. Yeah, it's just GG. This would just be trying, right? I'm trying to get better at doing stuff like this, by the way. There's a lot of times where I'm very lazy at the end of a game, where I'm kind of like, yeah, it's just a second, right? But I tried my best to see if I can just scam my way and get a Karma 3 and just win out the game. I think that's a good effort to put in. This was like at a time where I was really trying to get to like Master. So like when I was getting to Master, like when I was grinding that last little bit at the top of Diamond, you really don't want to leave anything on the table, right? Optimization is how you get from Diamond to Master, and it's just like the small little changes you make in your gameplay are going to help it out a lot. But anyways, this guy's board was very fucking strong. I think it's mostly from stacking Pyro, right? He's not 5 Pyro, he's 4 Pyro, so he doesn't have like an insane execute, but he has 3 Arcana, so he gets a bunch of true damage, and he's been stacking Pyro, so his whole team has a bunch of attack speed, and his Gwen works out really well. It's very good into my comp, because my comp is all about stalling as long as possible, but the longer I stall, the more snips Gwen gets, and the more damage Gwen effectively does, so it's very, very difficult to deal with that. But either way, Shapeshifters with Cassiopeia, as you can see, this is how I played it. It's quite good. Obviously, if you're not in a spot that you can tempo and level to 8, you want to reroll until you have Nico 3, Swain 3. If you're not going for Nico 3, Swain 3, it's really good to just level, play around Karma and other Shapeshifters, and then you can even level and fit in Chrono to cap out your board really, really high. But very often, you need your front line to be very, very strong so Cassiopeia has enough time to ramp up. She's at a spot now where she's like kind of playable, but like I said, this was a very high roll game, and I still ended up second. I don't see how you can high roll much more than this game, besides also getting a Briar 2, which I didn't have, but you know what I mean? So take it with a grain of salt. You should only play it if you have a really, really good spot for it, right? You start the game with a Guinsu, and you start the game with like 2 Cassiopeias, then go for it. Try it out. That's my recommendation. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, I'll see you around. Hopefully a guide coming soon. I have to make a reroll guide very soon. This will be part of it. But you know, I'm still working on some other stuff. We're almost done Pokemon XD, by the way. Come into our Twitch chat tomorrow. Twitch chat. If I'm feeling good, we might beat the game tomorrow. If not, we'll beat it on the weekend. Assuming everything goes well, of course, because it's a Nuzlocke, so you know we can easily just wipe and die to any one of the end game trainers. But yeah, we're trying to finish it in our first run, and if we don't finish it, we'll just do some more runs over the next week. But anyways, thank you for watching, and have a great day.